Hi friends, it's Miss Van Alstyne here. We're ready to do our second video. We're going to complete our first assignment, the Getting to Know You hand assignment. So I instructed you to fill in the hand. That should be good to go. Today we're going to be talking about the background. And we'll actually be working on a separate sheet of paper, cutting this hand out and gluing it onto a new sheet of paper. So it should turn out something like this. So we're going to take this, turn it into this today. That's our goal. As I talk and I instruct you on how to create that background, I'm also going to be throwing in some color theory today, helping you understand what color would really work well for my background, because not all colors are going to look great for your background. So I'm going to give you a little bit of tips on that by using a color wheel. This wheel was invented by Sir Isaac Newton a long time ago. He was a scientist and he studied color. But this color wheel also informs lots of artists and designers today on how to make colors work together for whatever project they're working on. Okay? Lastly, don't forget, we're going to make mistakes as we go along as artists, and that's part of the process. I don't need you to stress out. I don't need you to crumble up your paper and get mad, but think of a creative way to make that mistake work or make it disappear. However you can make your mistakes work. I made a few as I was going along, and you probably wouldn't even notice because I wasn't worried about it. So kind of keep that in mind today. Let's go ahead and get started on the background. For this project, you're going to need your hand that we did last week. You'll need a background sheet of paper. For this assignment, if you have a thicker sheet of paper like a mixed media or a watercolor sheet of paper, that would work really good for this. I just picked this up at Walmart, but I did see today at Target that they do also have pads of mixed media paper there. That would be helpful if you want that. If you don't have that at home, you can just use a regular sheet of printer paper and you'll just skip the water part. So just kind of keep that in mind. With that, let's go ahead and get started. So our goal today is to create the background for the hand. I wanted to talk to you a little bit about color theory. So on this hand, when I did it, I noticed that I had a lot of yellow here. And so I thought, what's the one thing I probably shouldn't put in my background? Well, I should probably stay away from yellow, right? So if I look here, I've got my yellow. I have all these other options. If I stuck by the colors next to it, I'm still going to have the same problem. I'm still not going to be able to see it. I'm trying to create contrast between this color and the background so that my hand pops out. So I'm going to look more on the opposite side of the color wheel to find something that looks good. Now purple would be the direct opposite of yellow, and that would have been a good choice. That probably would have looked really nice as well. But since I love the color blue, blue is still a ways away from yellow, so I knew that that was going to create contrast from my background. I use this blue-green as well, so I kept it dark colors, the darker colors, because I colored light in here. Put the darker colors in the middle, the lighter blues on the outside, really helping my hand pop. My son, his hand was colored with the blue and the red. He decided to go with the green. Again, he left it a lot of it white, so that was fine because that still creates some contrast between the white in his hand. So with that being said, we're going to look at this hand. Now the problem with this hand is I did so many different colors. So I'm going to look here. I did a lot of pink on this side. I did some grays. But overall it's lightly colored. So if I stick with maybe a darker color, it would probably work better. So I have reds and purples, a lot of those. I don't have so many yellows here. Not as a lot of greens. Maybe if I went with, I could probably get away with going with blue again, because that's just my favorite color, right? So that's still probably, if I did a blue-green, that might look good with the pink, because pink is a shade, if you see right here, if you add white to red, it makes pink. So maybe that blue-green would look good. Let's go ahead and do that. Okay, with your paper, you're gonna just take regular markers. We just went to Target today and picked some of these up. So they're just $1 for a pack of 10. And so I got a couple of them and I thought that was a pretty good deal. So we have these colors. These are the colors that I used. Again, I'm choosing colors that are similar. I wouldn't want to choose orange and blue because that would make brown together. So I'm only choosing colors that would look good together. So, you know, these two might look good together. This might look good with it. Okay, you're choosing colors that are next to each other on this color wheel, not opposite each other. Okay, we're trying to keep them close together. I'm going to take my darkest color and I'm going to put that in the middle. You don't have to do the circle format. That's for me. If you wanted to do stripes down your page, that's fine. But this, to me, I kind of got a little system going down. I'm just going to stick with that. So I take my marker. I'm using the edge of my marker. I'm not pushing down and squashing the tip, which some kids do. So we want to use just the side of it. And that way I can go a lot faster and I can just rotate my paper as I do this. If you used a regular sheet of paper, just a copy paper, I would stop right here and you would be done with the background. But I use that thicker sheet of paper, and if you had thicker paper, this would be fun for you to do. So what I do is I have a cup of water. I've just got a regular paintbrush, and you're just gonna lightly put some water on top of my markers. Now, markers are made of the same stuff that's in watercolor paint. So you'll notice that it's going to have the same effect when I put water on here as if I was painting with watercolor paints. So I'm just going to take and I'm going to go from the middle out. And I can take my paper towel and blot my brush. I'm squeezing that water out because I don't want it to saturate the paper too much, because that would really not be fun later. So, okay, we're going to set that aside. We're going to let that dry. And we're gonna get our hand. So you're just gonna take your scissors, go ahead and cut out your hand. Again, you want it to look nice, so make sure you're taking your time. If you do make a mistake, it's fine. Remember that you're just gonna glue it down to that paper. So if you do accidentally cut into your finger, you can just glue it back on when you glue it down to the paper. So that's not a big problem. So I'm gonna just take my time, I'm gonna cut this out. So I've let this dry. It's ready to go. It only took a few minutes. This is one I did for the kinder class. I just wanted you guys to see, since we talked about contrast, the differences of if I put this on this one. You'll notice right away the pinks are very similar. And then if I put it on the blue, it just pops out. There's a lot more contrast on the blue than on the pink. So contrast is creating that difference and allowing whatever you want to pop out more. Just wanted to reiterate one more time. If you didn't have markers, totally fine to use the crayons. This one was a crayon one that I did. Again, I used darker colors. You can still glue that down, and that's just fine to turn it in like this. Okay, so we're on our last step, last thing to do. You're gonna take your glue stick and we're just gonna put some glue all around the edge. Again, you want it to stick down really nice, so we're gonna have to get all these little fingers in. I'm not too worried about it getting on my painting, just because this stuff dries clear. I don't want to use it so thickly that it looks like, you know, paint. I just want to use it, trace around the edges, and then maybe put a little X here in the middle, just to make sure that that sticks down. Once I've got that done, I'm going to take my hand, I'm going to line it up with the bottom of my paper so it looks like it's part of this paper. I don't want it floating. And then I'm going to just glue that in place. If you get any extra glue, just wipe that off. And you're done. I hope you had fun with this project. I sure did. I love playing with the markers like that, using it as watercolor paints. I think it looks so cool. I hope you had fun with that, and I look forward to seeing you guys next week. Remember, bring this project with you to our next class. We want to share them, and we want to see how yours turned out. And we'd like you to take a picture of it on your phone and put it in the Dropbox on Canvas where it says turn in your assignment. Okay? I'd love to see them. I'm excited. We'll see you soon.